Welcome back. Oh my goodness. What a crazy, crazy week. I'm going to take the floor, which is customary, and I'm going to tell you that for those of you that have been listening and care, broke a 9 minute mile. Broke a 9 minute mile.
Woohoo!
Lori, welcome. Broke the 9 minute mile, Lori, 8 minutes, 58 seconds, and not very impressive. Super stoked for sure.
I'm so happy to see somebody set a goal. It's not insane to feel like they need to participate in anything else apart from their own incremental growth and betterment. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do a 9 minute mile. I mean,
Okay, just so you know, at 50 years old, 9 minute miles are harder to come by.
yes.
Well, we're not 50, but we're certainly knocking on the door. With that, let's get right into our administrative. It has been a crazy week. Lori, Strong Island Radio, and myself, and also our retail store here in South Florida have teamed up with the idea to collect some goods to offer relief to whomever is at the other end. We can't steer it because once it leaves here, it's kind of we hope that lands in the right hands and is distributed to those in need. But we have had a good deal of success in collecting some goods at our retail store here in South Florida. I think Lori is also putting together some goods, she goes through her home and collects items that she can do without. Strong Island Radio, stay tuned. If you guys have not checked out Strong Island Radio, check it out. Bobby, aka The Man, is going to be generating some t-shirts. Those t-shirts will be available for purchase, and as much as we'd like to make them available to you, we will be shipping those shirts to clothe the people going without that have literally uprooted their entire existence and are seeking refuge in a neighboring country. So these shirts will be available. I think our target price, forgive me if I'm wrong by a couple of bucks, but I think we're trying to land at $15. Mm-hmm. And if we can land at $15, at the time of purchase, you can generate a message which will be put on a index card, and it will accompany the t-shirt for whomever whomever is in need. That message would be, we're going to advise that it's non-gender specific because we just want to put shirts on people. We want to give them a clean t-shirt and let them know that people a world away are thinking about them. So stay tuned, log on within, I'm going to say, because when you say it, it becomes reality. By Monday, we should have something available either at Tug of Heart, Lori's Facebook page, my Facebook page, or I'm certain that Bobby, the most qualified person here, will have something, some little attachment on his website. So that's super exciting. With all of this leads up to one thing, and that is today we're going to talk a little bit about destitution. And why destitution? Well, there's a lot of that going around right now. There's just there's a lot of people finding themselves in unfamiliar territory, and that is relying on the generosity, the spirit, and the giving nature of others. They are destitute. They are without a home. They are without a salary. They are without oftentimes their loved ones, and they're even without their clothes, their shoes, their toys, their cookware. I mean, just real destitution. And so today we're going to chat a little bit about that. Where are we going with this? I'm not sure. Bear with us. as always, I encourage you to contribute, comment, like, share, even dislike. We want that too. Lori, I'm
Hi,
sad. I
Heather.
wish we weren't hi. I wish we weren't talking about this, but it is obvious, and sometimes you just got to talk about the obvious to not get comfortable with it, but to either act, energize, wake up something inside of us. But there's a lot of destitution right now.
There sure is, and I think it's important what you just said. When we talk about what comes into our heart, as I mean, of course, we would want to be loyal to that because that's our goal each week as we're here. But it's not so much to exhaust it. We're not talking to just let's exhaust this through words and to lighten our own load, but more to properly direct ourselves in a kind of a better way to who we should be when we can only be something from afar. And also, what about when it's our turn? Because everybody does take a turn with destitution, not to take anything away from what's happening right now. But destitution is really a personal experience and defined by whoever's experiencing it. And a lot of people, whether it's through empathy or fear for the people, may be feeling little waves of it or a portion of it. And truly, to be destitute is, I cannot think of a sadder place to be in this world, or darker than when you find yourself in destitution. It's when you reach this point where life is just unbearable with discomfort, and your situation, the only thing that could make it worse from discomfort in life or threats that come up in life is if you were in that place and you're out of reach of help, whether by another's choice. A situation cannot be turned when you get that sentence, that prognosis, that the warning bells, the inevitability, and nothing seems like it is going to turn it. And we talked about hope, and there is always hope because there's different layers to this, which you brought up, and I'm gonna knock it right back to you here because I think you should, head up the charge with what you were saying. But when we find ourselves at the mercy of others, and you're kind of already there because you don't have control of your outcome anymore. You've lost a kind of control in the world of what will happen to you. The thing that you had kind of mentioned to me a couple minutes ago as we were logging on had to do with what on a deeper spiritual and within the heart potential we have for a new kind of growth in it. It's not as consolation for what's going on. In fact, it's only when these consolations, I think you said, are removed that we are left with nothing. Then we are open to what remains beyond nothing. Actually, before I foul it up, I'll let you kind of retell what you had told me.
I've been thinking about this, and without a doubt, I've been moved. I've been just really. It must be my age or where I'm at. This station in life has me. Certainly, as I talk with you more, I'm more accustomed to looking beyond my own comfort. And so I'm thinking about destitution and what does destitution mean? One of the things that we need to recognize, you and I, Lori, is that as we become more comfortable in our lives, we become destitute in other things, whether it's destitution in terms of our sense of community, our sense of family. We suffer destitution in different ways. And these folks, these displaced folks, right now, they may be destitute in terms of belongings, but not in terms of unity.
Right. That's right.
And so this is kind of what I was couldn't quite verbalize it. You did a really good job. But what I was trying to tell you about the growth that we find in destitution, because while they all had their little apartments and they had their little life, their tradition, their just their day-to-day going on, they probably weren't as united as they are making the trek to a harboring nation, and it's
Right.
amazing. And I'm not trying to make light of their journey or their trek or their discomfort, but I am saying that something is found in destitution.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where my mind was going as I thought about this, and maybe it's because the more we talk, Lori, the more I try to find a silver lining, and that's just like such a taboo thing to say right now, as so many people are experiencing this, but there is a silver lining, and that is the unity, our commitment to fellow man, our desire. When I say to wake up something dormant, which is a desire to give, so maybe we weren't suffering from destitution of possessions, but we were suffering from destitution of spirit and giving.
Oh, wow. I love that, Leroy.
So that's where my mind was going. So in their destitution, it is waking up something in us, and they are also finding that they are not in short supply of unity or commitment. I mean, we talked about this. We see people going in wagons. We see youth. We see a lot. And I am not here to be a judge or jury on what's going on, but just what the results are with these displaced folks.
Right. It's awakening. And I think that's going to be my two takeaways from what you've said so far that I'm going to try to focus on a little more this week, is that, number one, there's something dormant in us. Because things that we don't attend to, they have a way of kind of sinking to the bottom of our, I don't know, hierarchy of what we call important or urgent, imminent. And here we are in the imminent. And I've always said this thing, and it's something I had experienced with Seth, where we can always elevate ourselves to operating at a higher plane. And I know this sounds a little, like mystical, but I seriously mean it. People, you hear this talk and it sounds unusual. How do we shift planes? Well, it means operating at a higher level, a higher plane of humanity than you normally do. And one of the things that I realized is people spend years in prayer, in maybe orchestrating their own destitution, self-flagellation, meditation, whatever you want to call it. Nothing wrong with that. This is my only point. What people spend years trying to master can happen in a night. The night you get the news your child won't make it, for example. There were people that were neutral to below average with me or with Seth. And I'm fine with that. You know how I am. I'm pretty much like, okay, that's where they are. Oh, got it. The day the news arrived that we now have a window into how much time he has, and that Seth is in this dire place, destitute as a family, people rose to planes immediately. Someone who may be snippy, maybe he was mildly annoying to, next day, hi, honey. And this, not fake. Something moved in their heart where they had this full picture of him, a more accurate picture of his fragility, of who he was, of his humanity, which comes with being fragile. And he would do the same things as before, And instead of stop that, don't do that, whether it was at school or whatever, it was an understanding, because when you get that bigger picture of a human as a whole, where we're all on some level destitute, we just haven't received the news yet, right? What we were talking about last time, where the four things where we're always kind of under threat. And again, this is not to compete or take anything away, because in the present moment, for them to be in it, that's priority. And I got that. But so bringing it back to Ukraine, they are in this place where everything has been removed. And this is one of the gifts, if I dare call it that. Like you said, there's this kind of purification that allows you to rise above what you might have thought you were capable of. And it happens with destitution and desolation. And that's when we surrender our insistence on worldly consolation. And there is something to be said about what's beyond that. I won't go too far down that road, except to say that I firmly agree with how you began this. And that's what triggered all these other thoughts, because absolutely, when you find yourself in darkness, you might also, for the first time in your life, be searching for a light in a different way, in a different type of light.
You're saying this, and I look at you with not only familial adoration and respect, but I look at you as a benchmark for thoroughness and soundness of thought and planning. I know that sounds crazy, but
I know. Moi?
Yes, you. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, Lori, is it a fact? And I'm always most comfortable, but I know you're strong, and so I'll talk a little bit about Seth. Is it that as humans we have a limited capacity for attending to so many different things? Because destitution, the more we talk as this conversation goes, we literally trade one destitution for another.
That's
so while we have healthy children, we are destitute in appreciation for the temporary nature that is possible. It is a possibility that permanence is not a part of that equation. Again, I am very sorry for talking about Seth, but so we're destitute.
It's what we know in a personal way to talk about it.
Right.
Or else we'd be speaking for other people, which doesn't quite feel right. So I think it's appropriate. I don't mind.
Okay. So are we trading destitution type? Because we're comfortable, we get comfortable, and with comfort comes complacency and comes lack of appreciation. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm talking about me. I'm comfortable and I'm working, which is new to me. I mean, I've been in my life, I've done things for other people. Have I been generous? Probably not. I've tried to do things. Generally, I've tried to help people that was paralleled with something I was already doing to benefit myself. And I include them in it. And relief for them was a byproduct of what I was already doing for myself. And probably in a lot of ways, if I'm 100% honest and vulnerable here, including them furthered my push to help myself, whether that's financially or through business moves, or just personal benefit. So it hasn't always been this altruistic, giving, wholesome, it's like, yeah, if I can help people along the way, great. But I didn't stop what I was doing to help. And through these conversations at Tug of Heart, apparently something's tugged at my heart. I'm not saying that I'm successful, but I'm certainly thinking a lot more about helping for the sake of helping, and not helping with an angle on how I can help myself and yet still feel good because I helped somebody else in the process of what I was already doing. It's kind of like, listen, I got to carry 10 gallons to my house. I'm going to let this person have 2 gallons, but now we're going to carry 20 gallons. So now I have 18 and they have 2. That may have been the mathematical equivalent of different moves in my life.
And that's not wrong. I mean, you've been, what you're saying to me sounds like I was once young. And I've learned along the way. What I was just picturing as you were saying this, which, oh my gosh, is tremendous for me, actually, helping for the sake of helping. And I think when you do that, just now, when you were saying that, I was likening it to what we just said about, or what you said about, do we forget destitution in the sense that we can only attend to so much at a time? We can only attend to competing things one at a time, right? But you could attend to 2 if it was building yourself and saying, come with me. It's not a whole lot extra for me. And you and I were raised, more, if not by parents, by the literature we were exposed to when we were young, where more means one more potato in the pot. A little bit different. We were raised on books like Stone Soup. So we have, I don't know where kids are now, but it's a little bit different, where this was kind of integrated into how we thought, because we were closer to historic destitution than a lot of kids experiencing what's happening today are. So when you're talking about attending to things, you also had said in destitution that they've had to let go of like a lot of material stuff. That's not the word you use, but that's the sense I got of it. The thing is, Leroy, when you're helping for the sake of helping and nothing else, that's a unique time that you're also releasing material things. If somebody needs something and you're like, I have an extra couple bucks, a tire, time is the big one that is very hard to share, right? I have extra time with little fear that will leave me destitute, because what you're doing is, again, you're moving outside your heart for somebody else. And so in that same space, it's a little bit more hard to say, listen, I have just this measure of this, and I don't see you worth that. And that's what can be hurtful to both. But when we help, there's this trust that we are more than just our material stuff. So we're more willing to part with it, which by the previous mindset, or a mindset of selfishness, would be more like, I can't let go of this because there is a limited amount. And so you're very focused on that. And that's what your own world becomes, I think. So, I mean, good for you, because I think you answered your own question. I didn't even know it. Right?
I'm listening to this, and one of the things that I want to reintroduce here to a conversation that you and I have had that made sense. Destitution, as troublesome and unfamiliar and scary as it may be, is a mechanical influence on our heart.
Yes. Go on. I love that. Actually, I really love that.
Because it removes the accoutrements of comfort and our routine. And it puts us in a place. This is me again seeking a silver lining, which right now, I mean, they should coexist. Relief.
Well, the human spirit should demand a silver lining.
Well, good. Then I'm right on track.
Yes.
But we should continue to generate in as much as we can without material harm to our family and lifestyle. We should continue to generate relief in whatever fashion we can. Not just now, because this is huge and a big deal going on, and it's sad, and never before we had such access to have a war delivered to us live feed, but also, there is a mechanical influence on the hearts of all of these people that are relocated. And that's a great example for us that are currently quite comfortable. We're complaining, but you know what we're complaining about? We're complaining about the price of fuel, but we're still able to drive. And so we're somehow that hardship is noteworthy, because if you don't believe me, just look at the news. It's on every single day. Inflation, fuel prices. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. But the truth is, that's nothing compared to what's going on for other people. Relative, yes, but the same, no. But as more people maybe commute, maybe they'll be forced to ride a bicycle.
Right.
Not forced, but to maintain the highest level of comfort. And that exchange will provide health benefits. It's terrible. I feel almost wrong saying it, but all of these folks that are moving and to build a new life, the importance of their loved ones, because it is challenged at such a high level, is going to mean something different. It's water tastes nearly sweet in the desert, and so having family and loved ones, and literally the breaking of bread over any meal, because destitution, they're unable to provide for themselves, but the being grateful for what is set in front of them, no matter what it is.
Right.
Split pea soup, lentils, something terrible.
I'm
just kidding, because you love lentils.
I make that. That's what I make it a lot.
I know. I'm just kidding. But there's going to be there's going to be an exchange.
Right.
The destitution is different
because you're destitute from what you were in the habit of seeking for consolation, right? I'm a nervous wreck. I've been homebound for a week. This means something different when I was in my 20s, and I'm homebound because money's tighter, got to pay for school, and I'm homebound, and that restlessness. So what I'm seeking is, if I had money, first thing I do is go out, right? But later, but then with time and repeated smaller instances of that, at some point there's a peace with being home, and then a joy, and then a seeking of being home. And which is off track anyways, but back to what they're experiencing. What has happened is what they were familiar with for consolation has been removed. And so they have been kicked into a different place mechanically, if you want to call it that. And their heart has been also where maybe they have nothing, but that they could hold a crying baby is some consolation to them when they have nothing. So yesterday, a full belly was my comfort. Yesterday, my home. But today, I will go to bed praying, thank you, whoever I pray to, that I was able to comfort a baby. And you see how that shift has happened. What consoles you is your ability to be helpful, useful. right? In these situations, maybe. And it need not be the same for everybody. Some
No.
of the very old people that are being carted along, they have lost everything. They've also seen more. Their consolation may be as they're bump, 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 and then maybe dragged for a stretch. Their consolation may be what these kids just did for me gives me hope for this world, while another part of the world had almost taken it away from me. And your consolation shifts because you're not expecting it from those that would do you harm. You're not saying, everything about me rests on the world, so the world has the power to pull the rug out from beneath me any moment. You reclaim that in a sense, and you reclaim the power of being human also, because destitution is about you've lost normal powers we have as humans to sustain ourselves, efficacy, to be effective at taking care of our own life. We've lost that efficacy, right? We're no longer effective at preserving our own life. So trades are made. Mm-hmm. And this doesn't mean this, and so today we're talking almost philosophically, which people have to understand means this is not without acknowledging the whole spectrum of emotions that this must come with this. But to talk about something balanced, you have to be able to talk about it through emotions where that doesn't waver or affect the truth of what can potentially be going on. And I feel like what we're saying is right, because we've also had hardships. Mm-hmm. You have not been war torn, but you've suffered injuries equivalent and survived when you maybe should not have. I've also had accidents where, we've each been told we would not survive. You, my gosh, it's one of your hobbies. I feel like being told. So you've been on that cusp several times. The other thing is, when you've been there, there's a different calm.
For sure.
And again, not to say moving up to it, but in the final throes, there is something does change, because we are turning towards a different type of light to remove that darkness.
I can speak intelligently about hope and comfort and calm in the midst of tragedy from the perspective that I've gained from personal experience. And there is something calming when there's nothing left to take. Mm-hmm. And that sounds like, what do you mean? That sounds ridiculous. Well, maybe it is ridiculous. But when you have, I don't even think they call them accidents any longer, but if you've been involved in a crash that is so devastating that, the likelihood of recovery is next to nothing, there's a calm. There's nothing left to take. The only thing you can bring to the table is enthusiasm.
There is a dignity that just increases in a person in a visible way. There's always that dignity, but it becomes very visual. If you remember Dorothy, she's the most emotional of us. And ultimately there was a calm in her almost consoling us, which out of us, all of us siblings, I would not have guessed her to be that person. And she was able to.
Dorothy,
that's our sister, for those of you listening.
Yeah, we lost a sister, several years ago. And I remember Dorothy, when her life had been given its final notice, and she knew that death was imminent. And I remember prepping, and one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And we were prepping for what do you want us to do for your children, Dorothy? What can we do? And she had one statement. She said, just don't let them make a mistake. Well, golly, I was destitute at that moment for wisdom,
Yes.
but man, but how calm was she? I mean, I remember you and I with Dorothy and prepping her wishes, and we had talked to her lots before, leading up to this, but when we were like finally there and like, this is what I want you guys to do. Like, what do you want us to do, Dorothy? Just don't let them make a mistake. It wasn't like, listen, get a money market, do this, do that. It was like, just don't let them make a mistake. Just do not let them make a mistake. Okay. Do our best. But that she was calm. She was definitely calm. I don't know what to say, Lori. I think that destitution is something I'm not happy. I'm not pleased. I'm not saying that it's better, that it's beneficial, but there are things that we find in destitution that I think are a little bit harder to uncover when we're in the midst of plenty.
Well, we're quite distractible, first of all. And also, why would I seek consolation anywhere else when I'm very comfortably consoled with all luxury or everything else that I have? I think moving forward from here, if you don't mind, we'll talk about a little bit more about this and disillusionment, which is another form of destitution. When we find out the world is not what we thought, it can feel as good as destitution because what we believed is removed, leaving us where? If you would join me with that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a good place to leave this.
Yeah.
We should talk about disillusionment.
Yeah, we'll move along right from here because there's still so much to be said about it. For those of you that have joined us, thank you so much. You can like and share the podcast, the page on Facebook, and also Strong Island. We'll continue with this talk. Leroy, really good stuff, and I appreciate you holding my hand through this. This is a very difficult thing to navigate, the feelings and our own helplessness in being helpful. Hopefully we can reach something that makes us feel a little better about our end of it in the next talk. Until next time, please farewell, everyone.
Adios.